Hello everyone, I'm Tracy. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to do a little welding on some aluminum with the 300 DLX. After getting it put back together again, got a phone call from someone that needed some work done on fenders, the bracket. Also, a little bit of information on what equipment I'm using, and I'll share it with you in case anybody is interested in getting involved in doing this kind of work or in the future. The power source you're going to need for welding on aluminum is AC. If you get a machine or you're looking for a machine, it needs to probably be constant current. And well, this one happens to be constant current, constant voltage, but it's going to be constant current. And it needs to be able to be capable of being able to switch to AC only or DC negative or DC positive. Those are the machines you need. This is a Ranger, and it does all three applications: MIG welding, stick welding, and Heliarc Tig welding for aluminum. So this machine, I got it set on AC, and these blue dots match this for AC, and I got it on 140. I tried it on 100. You'll find books that'll tell you to try, 50 to 100 at maybe 3/32 diameter tungsten or electrode. This is a picture of the high frequency box on the back side of the box, and it shows at the upper right hand corner where it circles, it says electrode. On the right hand corner at the top, that's what you hook up from the machine to that post, and then below that on the lower right hand corner is where your ground lead hooks up from the machine to that post. And then you work your way across to the left, and you see where it says this is where your TIG torch hooks up, and the lower left hand corner, it shows you where the ground hooks up. Your leads, you would still take your positive lead and you hook that up to your stinger or your positive, and your negative lead on this goes onto the back of the high frequency box. This is if you have a generator system and it's not a system where it plugs into your electrical plug-in, on 220 or 480. But the positive lead goes to the stinger or the electrode, and the negative lead goes to the work or ground on the back of the high frequency box, and that just goes from here to the box. And then after that, they're on the other side of the pole where it says positive or electrode. You're going to have that lead go out, and it's going to connect to this right here, to this block. This is like a diffuser block, I think maybe is what it's called. And this is where your gas comes in, and your electric also off your power source. Your cable's in here, your gas flows through there as well. And then on the back side of the high frequency box where it says work or ground, that you will attach to your work that you're going to be welding on. When it comes to the TIG torches, I prefer Weldcraft. There is a lot of selection that you can get from Weldcraft. The neck of it, to show you here what it looks like. The neck right here, some of them you can twist them, but this one here is just the basic model. WP-26. There's, like I said, there's a bunch of different ones. This might be 250 amp. And the hose, the argon hose is inside this hose and the cable. And when you go, if you decide to get involved in doing some aluminum, perhaps you might need to take a class or pay attention. But these are called cups. They're ceramic cups. And this one's a number 8. And you can study that as well in different sizes. And this one here's an even bigger one. It's not labeled on there what it is, but it's pretty good size. But if you're going to do aluminum, get involved in aluminum, you're going to have pure tungsten. This one here is a 3/32. Weldmark made or sold these. I'm not even sure if they're called that anymore. Praxair, I think, has their brand. There's several other brands out there, but this one at the time I bought was Weldmark. It's pure. They're green on the tip at the top of them. They're green. There it is, right there. You can see that right there on the very end of it, right there. It's got a green tip on it. And gonna need a collet that this will slide inside it. When you tighten it up, it'll hold it in place where you need it. And then you're gonna need a collet body, and this goes inside of the collet body. And that's what's right here. This right here is just an O-ring gasket that it slides in place. If I can get it on there. So that when you tighten up the cup, it fits up in there, and you notice it's the same size as that one. They've got stuff now where you can put filters in between them, and then you put that on there. It's been out there for a long time. But after you do all that, you can choose. What I like doing is I like to cut the tungsten right in half, and then I'll use what's called a button cap, and it just makes it so much easier. Some people still like the longer tail because comfort is what it's all about. Most of the time I'm freehand TIG torch welding, unless I'm doing stainless, and it's what you prefer, what you want to do. But that's the torch. It just threads up in there, the collet body does. And you're gonna need some hose. 25 feet is probably the minimum that you can get. And you're gonna need a block. What this here is your TIG torch hooks up to it, and then your hose will hook up to it. And then when you weld, you put your welding lead, your stinger right here, and then that cable's going up in there and goes to your TIG torch. Then you're gonna need a flow meter. And the flow meter, you want the neck for argon and CO2. What your gauge right here is going to tell you how much pressure your bottle has. And then when you open the valve, as you'll hear in the video, when you open the valve, the gas may not flow out right away, but you're going to have to open this valve right here, and then the ball will travel up to how many cubic feet CFH per hour it's going to be putting out. And this one is set up for argon or CO2, so you would read what you want. In the field, when I'm outside working, and I'll try tinting myself off as well as I can, I'll be in the 20 to 30 range easily, maybe up a little higher, depends on how. That's probably enough. You're gonna blow your weld out, but you got to get yourself habitated to where there's no wind blowing that gas away, or you're going to get porosity in your weld really bad. So you want to try to get yourself habitated really good so that there's good gas coverage. One more thing to talk about is welding hood. the lens. I prefer an auto darkening lens. Mine's a super single 240, and it is approximately shade 10. That's just what I use mainly when I'm pipelining and doing other work out in the field. But there are so many different hoods that are out there for TIG welding that I haven't done it for a while. I'll do it once in a while here at home and helping other people out in the field that has a piece of equipment that was aluminum and it needed to get fixed real quick. And before you start welding the aluminum, you're going to want to take your tungsten, your pure tungsten, and whether you're going to be using a 3/32 diameter or 1/8 inch, those are the most common. You can use 16th also, but it's going to be really small welding. But you're going to want to make a ball tip on the end of it. It's very most recommended. So in order to make that ball tip shiny end on it, you got to have DC negative. And you do not hook this up to your high frequency box. It's DC negative, and you take your negative lead and hook it to your ground. This is the way this machine is set up. I can reverse this. But if you do not have these settings and you have only DC positive, or when you go to DC, it will automatically be DC positive. So if that's what happens, this lead here, your negative lead, is going to hook up to the stinger or the TIG torch. That makes it DC straight polarity. And then your positive lead is going to be your ground. That's how it would be hooked up if it was a machine that you cannot control DC negative and DC positive by a switch. That's how you would do it, let's say on an SA200, an older machine. So remember, negative hooks up to your TIG torch and positive hooks up to your ground. That becomes DC straight polarity to make the ball tip on your tungsten for aluminum welding. It won't take much amperage. I want to try it at 50 amps first. I'm going to recommend that, and turning it all the way up. And then if that don't work, then we're going to go up a little bit more until it makes that ball on the end of that tungsten. But you don't want to overdo it, and you're going to use copper that you're going to contact to make the arc. And 1/8 inch copper or more if you can, a flat plate. I don't have that. I got a piece of tubing, real heavy wall, and I want to try it on that, but it needs to be copper. Might also, one more thing, you might want to get some really good TIG gloves. These are Black Stallion, made by Revco, and this is more of a padded glove, like maybe in the winter, but you can still feel the tungsten real good. I mean, excuse me, the wired rod real good. But they also make another one that there's not any Nomax inside them, and they're just leather. But right now this is what I'm using. But you want something that you can handle the rod and feed in. But right now, you want to make sure that your tungsten is clean from previous use. Use a sandpaper wheel if you don't have a belt sander. Get it all nice and clean. And you just want to stick it in there deep enough to where gas gets to it. I got it on 50 amps. We'll see what happens. If I have to, I'll go up higher. I got that stick out on there probably about 3/16 of an inch. past the tungsten pits sticking out past the cup. Turn the gas on. And I got a strike arc mine. Some of them, if you have a foot pedal, it'll take off, but mine's not. Arc length is approximately 1/4 inch or more. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. Leave your gas on until that tungsten cools down, and it makes a little ball tip on the end of it. Now, a special tractor, the fenders have a bracket on it made of aluminum, and they needed to be repaired because they had broken loose at the mounting point. And I'm going to use this machine, the 300 DLX, and I'm going to show you some basic things that is needed to make that weld. It's not going to be that super special weld that you're going to see on some racing equipment, but it's going to get the job done really good. It's continuous bead. There's not any pulse in it. So let's go and see what I did. We're going to fix an aluminum bracket, some other things that need to be for safety wise. That's the first bead that it's made, and as I told you, this machine runs on AC. I have to plug in a high frequency box. It changes it from 60 hertz to 50 hertz so that I can weld AC aluminum. And it's got different settings on it, start only or continuous. It might have a seconds that you can control the flow, backflow, but I don't think it has pulse. Probably running about 120 AC amps. Done deal. It's on there. Hard to see in the shade. I have to clean that up a little bit so the bolt goes in there. I see it. There's a split in it right there. Probably should grind that out and daub it. Hit it because it's going to blow that right out.